Hi, welcome to another 5 minutes with Mark. We're going to continue this even after I leave Bethany. It's been very helpful to me, and I hope it's been helpful to you. So we're going to continue tonight with chapter 8, verses 11 to 21. The Pharisees came and began to argue with him, asking for a sign from heaven to test him. And Jesus sighed deeply in his spirit and said, "Why does this generation ask for a sign? Truly, I tell you, no sign will be given to this generation." And he left them, and getting into the boat again, he went across to the other side. Now, the disciples had forgotten to bring any bread. They had only one loaf with them in the boat. And he cautioned them, saying, "Watch out, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod." They said to one another, "Is it because we have no bread?" And becoming aware of it, Jesus said to them, "Why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not perceive or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes and fail to see? Do you have ears and fail to hear? And do you not remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of broken up pieces did you collect?" They said to him, 12. "And the 7 for the 4,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect?" And then they said to him, 7. Then he said to them, "Do you not yet understand?" So first of all, we start out with the Pharisees. So we know that Jesus has landed back in Jewish territory. And they're going to come out and argue with him, asking for a sign. And the reason that they're asking for a sign is that the great prophets perform signs and wonders. Moses' staff, which turned into a snake. Elijah and the bread and the meal that did not run out. And so even though Jesus has just fed 4,000 people, they're still asking for a sign. And so basically he says to them, "It's not going to do any good. Even if I give you another one, you're not going to see it." And with that, he leaves the Pharisees and hops in a boat with the disciples. And now the disciples have only one loaf of bread. And as they're going, Jesus talks about this yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod. And they think he's talking about the fact that they've got only one loaf of bread. But I think what Jesus is really talking about is this whole ongoing conversation or confrontation, maybe even a battle with the scribes and with the Pharisees. They're fighting with Jesus about tradition. And the scribes and the Pharisees see that tradition is something that Jesus isn't going to uphold, and they need to and want to uphold tradition to keep their power. So the whole idea of the yeast of the Pharisees and of Herod is not about bread. It's about that idea that tradition is more important than what Jesus is saying and doing is going to poison his disciples and his followers. And then we're on the boat. And basically, to put it in current terminology, this is what Jesus is doing: a head slap. These disciples have just witnessed him feed 5,000 with 5 loaves and have 12 baskets left over, and 4,000 with 7 loaves and have 7 baskets left over. And yet they're worried because they only have one loaf of bread to feed all of them. And Jesus basically does a head slap. And he says to them, "You've been with me. You've seen what I can do with a few loaves and fishes, how many I can feed." The whole idea about, do you have eyes and fail to see? Do you have ears and fail to hear? And do you not remember? Is this whole idea, this whole litany that really boils down to the last sentence: do you not yet understand? Jesus is pointing out that even though these disciples have followed him, they've been with him, they've seen what he can do, they still cannot understand and believe in the power that Jesus has. Thank you, and we'll talk another time.